Good morning and welcome inside the scores table. Brian Haenchen, Danny Riego here with you. It is Selection Sunday, which is very exciting. Danny and I, this is the first of two live shows with the two of us. We'll be back again tonight at 10 o'clock to break down the draw. I'll have instant reactions at IndyStar.com and coverage throughout the week leading up to that. Danny and I will have a big preview show. Then the week of games, obviously, we'll have post-game shows every day of the week. Today, Danny, we have a loaded lineup. We're joined by Bloomington South, Julia Lashley, Viet Hall, Washington, Shay Hawk, Katie Reed, and then Franklin coach Mike Armstrong will be along with us. So we got a nice loaded day. Not much, honestly, for Danny and I to break down. I'm going to get to a lot of it in weekly wrap. Maybe we'll do something here at the end of the show. Talk about Grayson Gilliard going off for a school record. Danville, Brebeuf, Guerin was a great game that I was at. Some of those things like that. But honestly, I think everybody's focused on the draw. So Danny and I figured we'd have some fun with today's show and talk to some schools and get some people on here we haven't had a chance to talk to yet, who we've had on our list. We've had a list going throughout the season, and that list has been headlined by Bloomington, South Washington, and Franklin. So that's what we're going to do today. Danny, I should ask, how are you?
I'm doing well. Busy weekend, but it's staring out in this.
Are they still making you guys play today?
That's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm getting a bunch of listen, there's no reason that basketball games need to be played today. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm just trying to catch up on it. I didn't know. Everybody moved. So everybody moved from 7:30 to 3:30 yesterday. Some people canceled. So yeah, there's no reason that just my take. I don't think there's any reason that we need to be playing basketball games today. But
I was half expecting you to be calling in from a hotel outside the arena, or maybe inside the arena itself, like you set up a little cot in there. And
we played home team today, so we're in the area today with our games. But it's still snowing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're just into the worst of it. I can barely see outside my window.
Yeah.
So before we bring on Julia and Violet, Danny, I have some video clips from these past couple games for Bloomington South, and those are Julia scoring her 999th and 1,001st career points, just because those are cool moments, and they're a nice little lead-in for the interview. And Danny, with that, we go ahead and bring on Julia Lashley and Violet Hall from Bloomington South. Girls, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. It's good to see you guys. Julia, congratulations on 1,000 points. I know that it didn't come in the fashion that you'd hoped, but I mean, to achieve that milestone is still pretty cool. How do you feel about that? I guess if you could just put into words what it means for you to get to that mark.
I think surreal. That's kind of everyone's goal when they go into high school. And just having it happen is pretty cool. So super proud.
Violet, for you to see your friend get over that mark, I guess, just what did that mean for you?
It's just really amazing. I'm incredibly proud of her. We've grown up playing together, and it's just to see her grow as a player has just been such a journey for the both of us, and I'm just so proud of her.
Julia, so it was against Mooresville. Is it officially a broken hand? What happened on that play, and what was the diagnosis?
Yeah, it's a broken hand. I'm in a cast, as you can see on the videos, but I went in for a loose ball, and I kind of just jammed all my fingers in there, and I broke this bone in my hand right here. So,
did you know immediately that it was pretty bad?
Yeah, I knew it was wrong. I tried to shoot a free throw a couple plays after. That did not end very well, so. Yeah, I knew it was worse than just a jammed hand, but.
Violet, you guys have had a couple games now without Julia. You come through with a pretty nice win there over Terre Haute South. Just, I guess, how have you guys adjusted? How have you guys kind of dealt with losing Julia?
Our coaches told us, Julia is our leading scorer and leading rebounder. So it's just a lot. A lot of us do have to step up just a little bit. It's not on me. It's not on just one other person to do that. But I think that we've been able to adjust all right. Just everyone stepping up a little bit. I think that Julia definitely adds, a calm confidence on the court for us. So for that's probably the biggest adjustment that we've had to make, is just kind of stepping up and being able to take care of the ball with that confidence, but I think it's been all right.
Well, you guys, your team has had it's seemingly in a couple of years, you've been consistent with you two, but then there's been a lot of movement around you. So, I mean, there's Rojas Rivera, for example, on the roster last year, and now stepping up as Annie Smith. Like, just talk about her importance and just kind of navigating some of those changes, adding some of that stability that you're talking about, with your team this year. I went to a game earlier against Center Grove, and she was one of the kids that was just like, well, that kid's really tough. Like, that kid makes a lot of really good physical plays. Tell us about Annie Smith.
So last year,
I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, each of you.
All right. So Annie's definitely stepped up a lot from last year, especially with Angela gone. But she's been able to work through it, and she's definitely grown a lot, being more aggressive on offense and defense. Last year, our coaches voted her Defensive Player of the Year. So that's been a big step up for us, or for her, I guess, just to be able to get into everyone. And she's definitely been a lot more confident with the ball, which is what we need with both Superos being gone. We definitely need someone to just be handling the ball and taking care of it like that. And I think she's done a good job.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of our teammates know how good of a player Annie is, or Annika. Sorry, you guys know her as Annika. But I think her confidence has extremely it's been way better. You can tell games when she's focused on defense, she's really, really good. But she can also bring so much on the offensive side. It's insane. And I think the more that she realizes that, this team is just going to be really, really good.
Yeah, and speaking of offensive side, we had Coach Alexander from Evansville Central on here, and we were talking about a kid that he has on his team named Carson Moore, and how one of the big defensive assignments in the Evansville Central Bloomington South game was guarding Tatum DeVries. She's picked up and contributed quite a bit to your offensive versatility as a team. Does a lot of really good things well. She's also new to the program this year, and so just kind of tell us about her moving in and what that was like in the transition through the summer and then into the season this year, and now maybe what her role is, as sectionals approach.
All right, I could take it first this time, Violet, since
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when we heard Tatum was coming to South, I think all of us were pretty excited, ready for a new player. She played distinction with a bunch of South girls, so I think that helped her transition. In the summer, we just wanted reps. That's what summers are about. We wanted to get her used to our team. We wanted to get used to her style of play. And I think we figured out pretty early on that she's a pretty good shooter, but she can do a lot of other things. I mean, her offensive rebounding, her defense is really, really good. She's really long. She knows the game. I mean, she does. So I think that basketball IQ is just really, really good. So, yeah.
Just one more for me, and that's okay, Violet. You can start with this one, but just the last 4 years as a whole, for you guys. Last year you have the very, very deep run into semi-state and have just what was maybe the game of the tournament. Honestly, like, it was such an outcome, and you guys have such high expectations. It's been this and that. I've talked about the different players on the roster each year for different reasons, whether they're entering or exiting the Bloomington South program. But I think you girls have a lot to be proud of. I think your run, and I'm not punctuating it at all because we're getting ready to play in sectionals right now, but was a great run. Can you just encapsulate in your words just kind of what it meant to you and what the highlights are, what stands out from that? Violet, you want to start?
Sure. As far as our regional run last year, that was definitely a huge thing for us, just to be able to get there, because Julia and I's first 2 years, if we hadn't been the greatest team. So for us to just we've all been playing together for just a really long time. We were kind of used to winning a little bit in middle school, and we came to high school. It's kind of like, oh, there's there's a couple levels that we've got to step up. And I think that our junior year, having no seniors, I would say pretty young team, just because we didn't really have that senior leadership. I think that the group of us were able to step up a lot and kind of be able to bring the rest of our teammates up with us. And I think that for this year and next year, us showing them the work ethic and also just what it takes to be able to do that if we do want to do it again. I think that was a good example for the work that we have to put in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone had very high expectations of us coming into that season. They knew we had that core group, and it was basically, what can this core group do? What can they bring along? But I think we had a bunch of production from other people. I mean, our core group is strong for sure, but I think it just took a bunch of, we don't care what anyone else thinks. We're going to go out, we're going to play our game, we're going to play physical, we're going to play strong, we're going to play hard. Really good defense, and I think that's what got us that far.
Julia, I want to ask a follow-up question on your comment, and that's kind of what I was hinting at. And I'm not trying to corner you here, but like, did you feel that there was a level of just, I don't know if it's underappreciation, not being noticed, maybe not being talked about as much? I mean, you guys were one of the best teams in the state for a multi-year run here in Indiana, and you're talking about how, no one had these high of expectations for us. Did you feel that there was a level of being underestimated in that locker room?
I don't know if we ever were explicitly we don't these people don't think we're here, but I think everyone knew I don't really we aren't supposed to be here, but we are, and we're here for a reason.
Right.
And I think that was our mentality. Yeah.
Violet, you alluded to the first couple years in the program for you guys being a bit of a grind and kind of a rebuild. When could you feel things kind of shift? Like, was there a point during even your freshman or sophomore season when you could feel things kind of taking hold and building up to where you guys are now?
I'd say a little bit our sophomore year, since Julia, Audrey, and I were captains for, I believe it was away games, and our two seniors were for home games. You could tell that Coach Winters definitely wanted us to step up and be there, because he knew that next year, or the last year, I guess, we wouldn't really have that. So I think that during our sophomore year, getting used to kind of having to be doing all that was kind of where we felt the shift. But yeah.
Did you two have that belief? Like, Julie and Violet, did you guys, when you were coming up, did you have that belief, like, we're going to be the ones to turn this ship around and run to semi-state, and this year too, with the potential to make a deep postseason run? Did you guys have that belief in yourselves?
I mean, I think so. Yeah. I mean, we knew the journey that we've taken to get here. We knew the work that we've put in. We know, it's really nobody knows what we do except for us. We know how we work in practice, how we work outside of practice. Yeah, I think that we know that we just deserve to be anywhere else, or we deserve what we deserve no matter what. We just, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're totally fine. You earned this opportunity.
We deserve what we get no matter what anyone else thinks, because we know what we've done to get there. So
yeah,
sure. Julia, how about you? How did that mindset kind of come about? Or I saw you nodding too during that answer. It seems like you've always kind of thought this was possible.
Yeah, I think sophomore year, once we got, Val and I were varsity as freshmen. Sophomore year, that's when we really started getting a good amount of varsity minutes. So I think once that happened, we were like, yeah, we have a really, really good opportunity to be leaders on this team, start winning, having a winning culture. And yeah, I think I have to add to Violet's pretty good answer.
Yeah. Violet, for you, obviously a standout track athlete going to college for track. Just how have you struck a balance between your two sports just during the off season, and what, obviously in an era when it's kind of becoming uncommon, what led you to stick with both basketball and track?
I have grown up loving both sports. The balance, as far as balance, I like to say that when I'm in basketball season, I'm in basketball, and when I'm in track, I'm in track. And I think that having both definitely helps avoid burnout, I'd say. Having just a different thing to do each season. I love my basketball team. I've been friends with them so long, but track is kind of my thing that's away from all that. Gives me a chance to just make new connections with other people. But yeah, I love my basketball team. Been friends with them for as long as I can remember. So, but yeah, I have a very deep love for both sports, and just the idea of giving either of them up is just kind of breaks my heart a little bit. So got to do both for as long as my body allows me and as long as I can. So
Violet, what are your events again?
I do sprints and jumps. Yeah.
Okay.
What went into the decision for you, Violet? What led you to pick track over basketball in college?
I really don't know. It kind of shifted not even until like later last year. Like later in my junior year, I was like I said, I love basketball. I just been doing it for a very long time. And I think that track is where I find a little bit more joy right now. Because a lot of people have said, oh, giving up your main sport for track, no one talks about the heartbreak of that. And it's true. Like basketball had been my main sport for a really long time. I'd still say that it really hasn't, it still is my main sport right now. And so I am into track season coming up, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just, that's a really hard question to answer. And I really wish that I could, but track has been where I could see myself going maybe a little bit further, especially with being on the para side and being able to go further in nationals and worlds and things like that. It kind of opens up a little bit more for me to do.
Where's been the coolest place you've gotten to go with your Paralympics events?
I mean, last September I got to travel to New Delhi, India to compete in Worlds, so that was pretty cool.
That's pretty rad.
That is awesome.
That's cool. Julia, for you, what's your plans for the future? What are you looking at for college?
I do want to go play college basketball. My top pick right now would probably be Holy Cross at South Bend.
Nice.
I've not fully committed to anywhere. I was most likely going to commit after my senior season, but we'll see where this takes me with the injury. So yeah.
You just made the Holy Cross coaches very happy if they're
Like any coach should be.
It's the fact that you got their name across there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, Julia, how has the recruiting process been? How have you enjoyed it, not enjoyed it, I guess, just as you kind of near the end of it here?
It's a little stressful. I mean, I think it's more of the unknown and all the work you have to put in to get what you want to do. Yeah. I mean, it's also super exciting thinking about where I'm going to be in the future. So, yeah, I think that's.
Has this always been the dream, I assume, to play college basketball and to take this career as far as you can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Are you from a big basketball family?
I mean, my family loves basketball. I'm probably the only person who's taken basketball this seriously. I mean, being from Indiana, both my parents grew up in Indiana towns, so they know how big basketball is in Indiana. And yeah, I'm definitely the only person who's taken it seriously. So it's a new area that my family is going through, but it's been fun to go through it with them. So
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So for both of you guys, what are plans now for Selection Sunday? Are you going to be able to get together at somebody's house to watch the draw together? Is it going to be remote with all the snow? What's the
I
plan?
think we're doing remote. I don't think we want anyone risking it. We got, I don't know, 5 or 6. I don't really know. I haven't looked at how many inches, but it's a good amount of snow. I mean, my cars are snowed into my driveway, so I think we're just gonna go with remote today, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's a bummer. Yeah. Hey, how have things been in Bloomington? Obviously, since the thing happened, what was that?
Oh,
like a week ago or whatever? Not even a week ago. Monday night. How have things been down there?
I mean, I think you guys all probably saw the videos of Kirkwood that night. It's been kind of crazy. They had the celebration parade yesterday, I think, while we were at a game in Linton. People still showed up to that even when it feels like less than 5 degrees. So I think people are pretty shocked that this has happened to Indiana University. Just football, our football past has not been very good. I mean, the losingest program, it's like this year, I guess. I think it's pretty cool that we get to experience this in our lifetime. I mean, who knows when it will happen again? So,
did you guys partake in Kirkwood Avenue? Did you just sneak out there to see what the scene was?
I was not there.
I was actually at the game, but I would not.
Really?
I saw videos like people getting trampled.
People were like jumping on buildings.
It would be a good idea for us to go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how was it down in Miami?
It was nice. It wasn't. I mean, it was a little chilly, but you could definitely tell who all was from Indiana because they were all in their shorts and tank tops, and all the Florida people were in like jackets and everything. So sun's out, buns out, I guess.
That's awesome. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, girls, thank you so much for hopping on with us here. Best of luck the rest of the season, and hopefully I'll be seeing you here in a couple weeks at regionals or semi-state.
Yeah.
Good luck, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Gio, Lashley, Violet Hall with us here on the scores table. Danny, you want to wrap that interview up?
Well, first off, how about Violet with the subtle I was at the game.
Yeah, that's very chill.
Woo, that's quite the statement. That's what an experience for her. Here's my take on it. So I'm at Bloomington South. I think the game that I was at was the Center Grove game. The entire Indiana women's basketball program was there. They had a couple of recruits playing in the other gym. They wanted to put some eyes on some other players. Painted in front of me is J.R. Holmes Court, the JC Holes, Jordan's dad, and one of the really big central pieces to grassroots basketball was there. Just a ton of people. Here's where I'm going with this. Bloomington South has a ton of tradition to it. And basketball in Indiana is better when Bloomington South is really good at basketball. They had a really, really nice run. My heart, no pun intended here, breaks for the opportunity for Julia to be able to not be able to compete in these sectionals. I'm so happy that we had her on. But just give me an opportunity to they were a possession away from representing the South last year in the 4A state championship. A possession away, or at least advancing for the opportunity to play Lawrence North.
Final, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that game was crazy.
And there wasn't anybody in that was giving that morning session. I think my recollection is serving me correctly here. I think they played Pike to the one possession game, and then Pike ended up playing Lawrence North in the Final Four, I believe is what happened. But that everybody in the city here was already crowning the semi-state to be Lawrence North and Pike. And here's Bloomington South. And I remember it like it was, a year ago because it was, but I was getting the text being like, hey, that Bloomington South's winning, or hey, Bloomington South is down by 1, or hey, Bloomington South has the ball with a chance to win it. That team was so good, so prepared. I remember we had a couple of their coaches on. But there's a very cyclical nature to high school basketball, and I'll punctuate my thought saying this. I really do believe that when Bloomington South is really good because of the tradition that they've had, Indiana high school basketball, particularly on that southern hemisphere of the state, is better. And so I congratulate Bloomington South on a great season. We'll see what happens. It is a 1-game survive in advance, and I would not put it past anything for Bloomington South to do something special in this postseason.
I think sectional wise, they're the favorites, obviously, and regional wise, I mean, East Central has stubbed its toe a little bit here down the stretch. Floyd Central would be an interesting matchup, but it still sets up. Like, I think when you lose a player like Lashley's caliber, the instant reaction, the knee-jerk reaction is to start writing a team off. Well, in Bloomington South's case, I think that it still sets up for them to go on a deep run, and they have enough depth. Like, Violet's a phenomenal defender. That's one of the first things you hear about them. You talked about DeVries. Like, there's a lot of pieces there, a lot of talent there for that group to make some noise. And they're going to have one more quality tune-up with Brownsburg here. Brownsburg coming off a big win over Westfield, a very much-needed win for them. To wrap up the regular season, Danny, I gave Washington girls the wrong time, so you and I will have a little bit of time to vamp for a little bit.
Oh, there was a time change.
So they're in Eastern time zone, but I told them 10:20 because I'm used to us starting these shows at 10 and not at 9. So it was 100% my fault.
Yeah, we'll get them. We'll get them on this week. There's no
checking on it. So once if they're able to pop in, we'll get them in today. If not, we'll get them in on our weekday show or at some point here during the tournament. But let's talk about Center Grove and talk about what Grayson Gilliard did yesterday, because she was phenomenal. I had that game up on stream once I got back from watching Hamilton Heights Rensselaer Central, another phenomenal game. I've gotten lucky here with two really good games in a row, covering them in person. 3, I guess, if you count Homestead Warsaw. But Grayson Gilliard last night with one of those statement-type performances, a career school record, 38 points, as Center Groves moves to 20-0 with a 65-43 win over Hamilton Southeastern, a game that really, I mean, it was kind of close there after a quarter, but even then, Center Grove kind of had a stranglehold on it, and they just kept tightening and tightening and tightening. And unlike previous Center Grove games, it never really felt like there was that lull. Like, it always felt like they had the pedal down. Just really, really impressive showing by Center Grove.
I had about a dozen texts yesterday about what was happening over at IHSAA High School. I wasn't there, but I got about a dozen texts. Hey, Gilliard did this and Center Grove did that, and people were. Obviously, I think that the natural reaction is to talk about some of like postseason accolades and things like that. But, just keeping it on the floor with that game, if it's special when the texts start flying around. And I got it in a gym at a youth basketball tournament with a bunch of people who know who Grayson Gilliard is. And for about an hour, it's all anybody was talking about. Like, oh my gosh, I've never seen Grayson, or I saw Grayson do this, or I saw Grayson do that, or this is what'll happen with it. That's super impressive. And about a week ago, I called the Maya Epps 42 against Snyder one of the most impressive individual performances, if I can quote myself, of the season. And that can move on. I'm not taking anything away from what Maya did. One's not better than the other, I would say, but I think Maya can move over and share on the mantle this performance, because 38 at HSE, on a snowy weekend day when you're 19-0 and you're playing another top 5 team, it's really impressive. And I had to, you're gonna make fun of me. I had to know, I had to watch some of it last. I had to kind of speed watch them. I had to see what the game flow was like. I just had to provide some context, because Gilliard having 38 is just such a loaded sentence. So I don't know, really cool. Great for Center Grove, great for Grayson Gilliard, great for all those teammates down there.
And the thing was too, like, Gilliard obviously gets and deserves the spotlight, but again, it's a thing that we talked about with Kevin and Grayson when they were on the show. Just quietly good production from everybody else. You have 11 from Haley Wagner, the sophomore. Freshman Leah Tapak had 7. Mackenzie Pierce had 6. Haenchen had 3. Ella Sprong came off the bench and played big minutes for them. I mean, just everything is kind of quietly firing on all cylinders. And people talk about, a lot of coaches that you talk to, like, hey, I don't want to go into the tournament undefeated. I have never gotten that sense from Center Grove, at least from Grayson, because I think I asked her point blank, just being undefeated, how much do you think about it? Do you want it? And she's like, you're damn right I do. I want to be undefeated, which is unique. Like, it sounds counterintuitive, but that is kind of unique, especially at the 4 level and especially at that when you're in that 4A South bracket, and it's awesome. Like, I love that energy, and I understand that going the other way too, but it is a cool way that they're approaching it. They have a unique energy, that Center Grove team, and we'll find out tonight when that postseason matchup is going to be with Franklin Central, because more than likely that's who it's going to be. Again, standing in Center Grove's way and advancing out of sectional. They close out the regular season here with Greenwood and Avon. On the Hamilton Southeastern side,
hey, just real quick before we get to the Hamilton Southeastern side, I did think when I was watching that game, you mentioned all the other players, and if you had Grayson on, that's what she would say. Well, I can't do it without my teammates. When watching that game, that's kind of what I thought too. Like, you mentioned Tapak, and I've mentioned Tapak a couple of times on here, but it's the reason why is because she always jumps out on film if you really know what you're looking for. Like she does. I'll tell a story. Somebody said, well, they don't ask Lilia Tapak to do very much. Of course, she's having a freshman year. No, that's completely wrong. They actually ask her to do everything. They ask her to handle the basketball. They ask her to guard. They ask her to stay out of foul trouble. They ask her to run the offense. They ask her, like, she influenced the game so much. Second to Gilliard, really influenced that basketball game. She has Ant Green guarding her with tremendous ball pressure. The pickup point is high. How many times have we been on here celebrating the ball pressure of Ant Green and how it turns a basketball game? Lilia Tapak almost made it a non-story. Mm-hmm. She had this like over the head loop pass to Gilliard for a strike and got her a layup. Like, you can get easy ones when you get 38 with layups and free throws. And you can get the layups, particularly when your teammates set you up. And she just did a great job of that. But the other thing that's coupled with that is I thought Stuck has made Gilliard such a great cutter. Like, she cuts off the basketball. Like, there was a couple plays where she threw the ball to the corner and it was a little give and go. It was a great cut. There was like an exit cut. Like, she was posting, somebody drove, she exit cuts around them, kicks it out and hits like her 5th 3 of the game. Like, her movement without the basketball has gotten to be very precise and very strategic, and her teammates are finding her. The last thing to put a bow on Center Grove, like they operate right now with such precision. There was a set I'll use the set that I was talking about where Tapak threw the lob post to Gilliard. While that's happening, at the exact same time, simultaneously, there is a flare screen from the wing to the elbow. Like, that sound like, okay, big deal, Danny. Yeah, but it takes the help side defender that would ordinarily be there for Gilliard, and it occupies them in that action while Tapak is dotting Gilliard on the block for another layup. That operation is not an accident. Like, that timing for that to be simultaneous and for Tapak to throw a strike is the utmost execution by a basketball team that has not lost a game this year and has as many quality wins as really anybody. So I was astounded with how they played yesterday, and I'm sure that they are not, and that's what makes them great.
Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to do statewide rankings, so I won't spoil the conversation with the who's number one question, because I think there is debate, and I think that there's probably 3 to 4 teams in that conversation, and it's kind of just how do you want to sort those 4, and then a 5th who is probably maybe the most dangerous of the 5 potentially. So I think it's a really fun conversation. They're all in for a spoiler alert, but that's gonna be really fun to see. Katie and Reed are signing on now here, Danny, so we'll get them on here in just a second. But real quickly, Hamilton Southeastern plays Pike here on Tuesday, so we'll have a chance probably to dive into them a little bit here coming up next week. I'm excited to see that game. I wanted to touch on Brebeuf Guerin Catholic. A really, really fun game for Guerin Catholic. So many freshmen on that team. Their first time kind of being in one of those pressure pack situations in front of what was a sold out gym. It was super fun environment, super loud, super intense. So they got a chance to get their feet wet playing in that environment and experiencing that. And it couldn't have come at a much better time. On the Brebeuf side, credit to Guerin for hanging tough, but on the Brebeuf side, they found just enough shots to get it done, got just enough stops to get it done. That section is going to be a lot of fun with those two. Jumping in there, Guerin's dealing with a few injuries, so we'll see. They might rest some people here over the final week as they try to get healthy, but a really balanced team. And I heard from a coach earlier in the season to keep an eye on Guerin just because they're so scrappy and so hard-nosed, and sure enough, that's the way they are. Danielle Cardinal's got a really good group going over there. And then, like I said, Brebeuf, That's a dangerous looking team when they're firing all cylinders like they were for stretches there that game Friday. Robin Pate, by the way, cleared 1,000 career points earlier in the week. First one in, I think, like 2 decades to clear that mark. So massive accomplishment for her. And it was really cool. On the other side, the entire Pate family, I think, was there, just with balloons and everything celebrating her. So that was really cool to see her supporter section there. And yeah, that was a fun game to be at. As soon as Katie gets her camera on, we'll bring on Washington to talk about the Hatchets here a little bit. And yeah, Danny, what are your sectional watching plans tonight? You gonna have it on the TV? Bring the kids around?
I don't know. I think this is the kind of day where it's just multiple screens and any content that they're gonna put out there. I mean, it's the sectional draw for me sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming. I like to focus in on just a couple of matchups. Like, again, Hank wrote a story, IndyStar.com, go check it out, like, of just some of the things. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who can see when you have 300 some basketball teams, it's a little bit overwhelming. But one of the things that I think is always really important, and I don't even know if I have the exact explanation here, but I think we also draw at the very end of the show tonight regionals. Mm-hmm. And that is all. I just, again, that has more of an effect on who represents each hemisphere in the state championship than the sectional draw. And I don't mean, like, because we know, for example, and I shouldn't say this, we know we're going to get Homestead Norwell. We know we're going to get HSE Carmel or HSE Westfield. We know that we are going to get certain matchups. We know we're going to get, what's another one? Jennings County, Greensburg. We know we're going to get that. But we don't know who we're going to play. Like, how does Warsaw fit into that on the 4A side? How does some of those other basketball teams?
3A South.
3A South. So I think the regional draw is actually more telling to what our purposes is, covering the sport in the state championship and all of that. I think it's actually more telling. So that's just kind of interesting. I don't want to take away from it because it's a very fun night, but that's kind of what I think. And I'm very casual with my watching of it until we get to that, because I lock in on that part.
That's more or less the way I am too, because I locked in as I have to be for work purposes. Danny, we're going to go ahead and bring on Shay Hawk now. Katie's getting her camera set up. Let's go ahead and bring on Shay from the Washington Hatchets. Shay, how you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for hopping on an hour earlier than what I was to coach. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How are things? Did we wake you up out of bed with that text?
Yes, I just rolled out of bed.
Yes.
That's fine. Danny and I did the same. My apologies.
I was gonna say that makes 3 of us, Shay.
Yeah, this is great. Hey, Katie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Again, I apologize. I just apologize to Shay. I'll apologize to you as well for butchering the times magnificently.
Oh no, you're all right. My laptop wasn't working, so it took me a minute. But
all good. So Washington 17-4 on the year heading into sectional. Girls, I'll start nice and broad before we start diving into some of the specifics on the group that you have this year. Just how have things been clicking for this group? How do you feel with where things are at now going into sectional? Shay,
I feel I'll go Shay. But I'm feeling really confident in our group. I think we hit a little rough patch there, especially with the past Princeton loss. I think we didn't really know our identity, and I think it kind of opened our eyes. Princeton obviously played a great game and executed their game plan, but I think that loss was probably the best thing that could have happened for this team, because I mean, every practice, every game since then, like, we've been locked in, just every possession, the intensity, the energy, the competitiveness, like, I think it's been really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think our group this year is really special as well. Like our chemistry and everything is just, it's like we gel together so good. And then like with our little rough patch we had with Princeton, I think it kind of just opened our eyes. Like we almost needed it a little bit. And then we came in next practice and it was crazy. we practiced really well and our intensity has been really good. So
Katie, when you say that you weren't sure of your identity, was that something on the defensive end that you weren't seeing, or that you guys didn't I guess just adapt to, or I guess if you could just expound on that.
I think mainly it was just like we have 4 losses on the season, and all of those losses were close games or overtime. I mean, 3 of them were in overtime. We didn't know how to close a game, and just showing up to win a game, not just to play a game, was big for us. So, I mean, I think defensively, especially that game, we needed to know or execute our assignments a little better. But I think overall, the identity piece was just mainly that competitive drive to just, not being okay with losing.
Shay practiced the next day after a loss like that. Is it coach who's getting after you guys and down at the intensity, or is it you guys as players who take it upon yourselves to kind of drive that emotion?
I mean, yes, we had coaches on us and stuff like that, but I think it was just, it kind of just like flipped our brain. Like we've got to work harder. We have to do something different. So we did a different kind of practice, and it was a speed practice, we call them. And it's just fast the whole time. Like you don't have a second to think. So the intensity was just really high, and we were just getting stuff done.
Girls, there are a lot of teams. Good morning, by the way. There are a lot of teams that when we talk about them, we're like, oh, well, you're implementing this new kid, and or you have an incoming freshman or this. That's not the case with Washington. You guys have 5 seniors, and even your contributing kids that aren't seniors or juniors. Like you guys are really old by high school basketball standards. Of course, Katie and Shay, but there's also Shuckman and there's also Johnson and Williams. Like you guys have this senior class that is unique in Indiana girls high school basketball. That has to be something that maybe changes your preparation or makes it more player led heading into sectionals. Do I have that right? Or just tell us what that's like, just being so old.
Yeah, 100%. This starting 5, we've been playing together since we could walk, pretty much. I mean, we know each other so well, and off the court too. We're all super close, always hanging out. And I think that gives us a huge edge because of that chemistry. And then, you bring in the 2 juniors too, that, I mean, they fit right in to that group. But it's definitely something special to be able to have this 5 that we've played with. I mean, this 5 is the same that, we were fighting for a conference in junior high. I remember losing to North Posey in 8th grade conference championship, whatever. But I think, it's really special to just grow through the years with this group.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have a special group, like Katie said, and I think it just makes us almost work harder because we've been around each other for so long, like so many years. So like, this is our chance to prove ourselves and like work for each other and just,
Katie, your game specifically, you're averaging 18 this year, almost 9 boards, multiple assists also. you're doing a lot of different things at a high, all the things that you've always done since you played high school basketball, but you're doing them all at a higher level. The one thing that I feel like when I watch on film is like and I've celebrated your passing on this podcast several times. But because of the 18 a game, you seem to be getting a lot more double now. And we'll ask definitely Shay's perspective on this as well. But Katie, for you do you go into a game or go into maybe the season thinking like, I need to be more of a distributor? Shay needs to be more of a scorer. I can handle some of this stuff. Or is that just kind of game by game of like, if I get double, I'm just going to make the right play? But your passing has been unbelievable this season. I've turned on some games where it's just like, oh my God, what a great pass. And then 2 possessions later, there's another one. So can you just talk about that in how you distribute the basketball with Washington?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just basketball. If 2-3 people collapse on me, I mean, there's open people. I think we've had those conversations too. We have girls who can step up and hit shots. So especially recently, been focusing on, if I draw this attention, like I'm gonna get you a bucket. If your girl turns her head, that's your sign. Go, I'll hit you. I think that's huge for us to be able to have girls who can realize that and make the right cut and make the right read, because maybe I'll draw attention, but you can't guard all of us, especially if you're sending 2-3 on me and Shay.
Right. Well, and Shay, I mean, you've been the beneficiary of Katie Reed's presence also. When London Gilly came back, that also, he opened up some driving lanes for you, got you a few extra looks. You're shooting 40% from 3 this year. That's not dissimilar than last year. You shoot the ball really well. Has it been harder to find your volume, or has it been easier to find your volume in scoring? I mean, Katie had alluded to the fact that you're just a big part of a defensive game plan that's constructed. How has your offensive game kind of evolved this year as you've gotten older and played with this same crew?
I mean, I feel like it's been good, but I also have a good support system. So if I am having a bad game or I'm not scoring well or something like that, like I always have my girls on my shoulder, and they're always in my ear, like making sure you're fine. Just keep doing what you do. And it does help when we can just throw the ball to Katie. She just goes and scores it. But yeah, with her being doubled, and we've been getting a triangle in 2 recently, she passes the ball so well. So we just give it to her, and if she can't score it with 3 people on her, then we just cut off of her and get open other ways and find other ways to score.
Yeah, I have one more, and it's kind of a different one. There's so much talk about sectional draw and 3A South and statistics and all of that. And I'll let Hank kind of join in the conversation after this. The Hatchet House. Okay, like we have the Mill. Hank and I went up to Warsaw and watched a game at the Tiger Den. Those are some of those older arenas. Some of the newer arenas like Spartan Arena and Homestead I visited this year, and that's like state-of-the-art everything or whatever. But when you ask whether it's journalists on here, whether it's coaches on here, the most common answer for the best gym in Indiana, oftentimes from that area, is the Hatchet House. You guys get to play in it. You get to practice in it. You experience the Zeller years and now these Gretchen years and with coming up. Can you just talk about the Hatchet House and put it into your words for somebody that's actually experienced it? Because it is one big failure of Hank and ours to really kind of dual cover a game down there. So bring us there in your own words. Shay, you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah. Well, our gym is amazing, first of all. And yeah, we try not to take it for granted that we get to play there and practice there every day. It's pretty cool. It's pretty special to be able to be there with the Zellers coming through, and then yeah, we love it.
Yeah, I agree with Shay. I think sometimes it's easy to overlook it whenever you're practicing in it. every day. But I think it's funny. Every once in a while, I'll just be like walking through the gym and look at them like, can you guys believe we get to play here? Like, this is our gym, just in comparison, it's really cool. And I definitely talk very highly of it.
Do you guys have a favorite game or matchup there year over year? Like, do you have, I guess, just a favorite memory from playing in that building?
Um,
Have you gotten to host a sectional there yet?
We have not. The last time we hosted was our 8th grade year.
Seriously?
So,
Anything?
unfortunately.
That's lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
There has to be. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
parking or
I think it's
something.
because of our boys
Oh,
host
okay.
like regional.
They get like
semi-state a
regional
lot.
and semi-state and stuff like that. So
I just find that interesting. Sorry, Hank. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, you're
hijack.
fine. You're fine. I was speaking of sectionals and everything as we kind of wrap things up here, girls. What's the plans for tonight? Are you going to be forced to do things remotely, or are you going to try and get together for a normal watch party?
well,
Yeah.
we got a few inches of snow out there, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
we talked about Zooming, made a joke,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think we're going anywhere. So
Probably just watch from home.
I guess it's better now than during sectional week, knock on wood, with postponements and whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, girls, thank you so much for hopping on with us. It was great talking with you, and hopefully we'll be seeing you here again in a couple weeks.
Thank
of
you.
course. Thank you.
Hey, girls. Good luck.
Katie Reed, Shay Hawk of the Washington Hat just with us here on the scores table. Once Mike Armstrong gets his camera on, we'll bring on Mike here for a conversation. But Danny, that Washington team, it's in that 3A South, I don't know, buzzsaw, whatever you want to call it, of just incredible teams. And they're right in the thick of it.
Yeah, I did it. I've done it every week now. Just talk about 3A South. I think there's probably 8 teams that I would put in that category for being able to win 3A South. Okay. I think Washington is in the top segments of that. I really like them. Okay. And I like them for a lot of different reasons, but the one, and I'm not going to use cross sport analogy. I mean, you brought up like what's going on in some of the other sports like college football, like age and experience really matter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You even heard it in Katie Reed's interview. We lost to North Posey when we were in 8th grade with the same starting 5. Like that is the most unbelievably telling part of that interview. Wasn't talking about Katie Reed's passing and wasn't talking about Shay Hawk's 40% from 3 and the great building that they had. It's that they build this scar tissue over time and years and in wins and losses. And when the sectional title is on the line or the regional title is on the line or they need to band together, they will have the experience as a unit to be able to get through that based on the experiences that they've had together in the past. I'm sorry, guys, that stuff matters. Okay. And I like them a lot for that reason. Doesn't have anything to do with the fact that that's a really individually talented group. Okay. Katie Reed is really good. Shay Hawk is really good. And London Gilly is an emerging kid. She's really good. Like that is a ton of talent. And so, and by the way, the games that they're talking about, okay, North Posey in 8th grade in the county championship, the Princeton game, they're going back to the losses. Like they went straight there, right? Like, and that's a team that is seems to be singularly focused on winning when you talk about those losses. So, look, I think Washington is at the upper echelon. I think of that 3A South team, the 3A South kind of hemisphere mess that we always talk about. But I like Washington a lot. Princeton's
going to be a tough out. Allie Taylor, the senior, the first time that they played, she went for 31 points, and she since added a 25 burger, 14 against North Knox, 16 against North Posey. So they have some talented pieces over there at Princeton. So that's going to be a fun little challenge. And to your point earlier, when are we going to see these matches? And that's kind of more of the focus going into the sectional draw. Princeton, Washington is certainly going to be one of those. And again, just adds further depth to that 3A South bracket.
Yeah, no doubt.
That'll be a good one. All right, Danny, we're going to be joined now by Mike Armstrong, head coach over at Franklin Community. Mike, as we were talking earlier, it is in fact sweeps week, so we figured we'd bring in the heavy hitters here to help us get through here and draw some ratings and get those sponsorships lined up that we've been waiting for 3 or 4 years now, actually. So, Mike, hopefully you can help us with that.
Hey, anything I can do to help, guys.
It's good to talk with you, man. How are things?
Things are great. Finishing up a really successful season for us, and we're really looking forward to the tournament. We're coaching some great kids at Franklin, and it's been a really good, solid year for us.
You have such a young group, and you finally have everybody back and healthy this season. I guess just how have you seen that development of kids like King and Stillabauer, and just them kind of taking that proverbial next step?
Yeah, those are two kids who have worked really hard. In Addie King's case, she's missed 2 of the last 3 seasons going into this. She missed all of 8th grade with an ACL, and then she missed all of last year with one. She's just continued to get better and get better throughout the season as she gets more confidence, coming back from that injury. Izzy Stillabauer is a kid who has worked really hard at her game, particularly on the offensive end, and she's been a great, consistent scorer for us throughout the year.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning, Coach.
I think you were maybe backstage. We were talking about the age and the experience of Washington and how old they are and the experience they could fall back on. All due respect to Lugers and Bright, who you ask a lot of at times, that is not the case with you. Okay. I mean, you guys are still on the younger side of things in regards to having seniors and so on and so forth. Can you just talk about the progression of your experience as a basketball team and at times maybe your youth injecting that?
Yeah, great. And but you are correct. We ask a lot of Hannah Stewart, Addie Bright, and Aubrey Lugers. And by the way, those are all kids who are, basketball is kind of a second sport for them. Those seniors, but they are so athletic, and they each give our team something really special that they've really contributed to our success. On the other hand, you are correct that we do have a really strong core of underclassmen. Last year with King being out, we had like no height and everything, and it was a struggle at times for us, but we were able to get a lot of experience for Stillabauer and Aaliyah Singleton. Amelia Richter, Ella McCrary, and then, you bring in Journey Frederick this year, as a freshman, and she's continued to get better throughout the year. So while we are excited, obviously, for the end of this season and to see what we can do in the tournament, we're also very excited about our future. We have a good middle school group, and we think that, Franklin girls basketball can be a factor going forward.
How does that work or how do you do it? Actually, I'm going to ask you to speak for all coaches, but how do you, like Izzy Stillabauer, for example, right? And she has these huge offensive output basketball games, like early in the season, the stuff that hits social media, the stuff that hits my text, does her role maybe evolve, or is this something like, okay, now people are really starting to figure out like she can actually really score the basketball? Or is that or are you sitting there as the head coach being like, I didn't even know that she could go out and get 40 in a game? Talk to us about that and how that kind of evolves throughout a season.
I think the one good thing about our team is that we have multiple people who can have a big night. I think, Lugers had 22 the other night against Seymour. Addie King's been over 20. Stillabauer's been at 30. And other kids contributing every night. I think the one thing is that going through what she went through last year as a sophomore, in kind of a rebuilding season, I think she figured out different ways to score. Now she can get to the basket, and then she can hit a 3-pointer. She can get to the free throw line. And we all know that, if you want to build your average, you got to get some free throws in there somewhere. You just can't do it all from the field and that kind of stuff. So I think and then with her club team in the summer, I think she took on more of a scorer's role with that group and everything. So I think, that's a kid who's very dedicated to the game. She's dedicated to her game. She plays all the time. And, again, it's just been really good to see her improvement over the last year and a half, really almost 2 years now.
Yeah. Coach, I'm going to switch gears. Obviously, today is a little bit of an Indiana Girls High School basketball holiday and Selection Sunday. We're all snowed in. We're all going to watch it. And Hank has, often asked players, are you going to get together? Is there a party? What are you guys going to do? From a head coaching perspective.
Yeah, we all had plans to meet at Izzy's house tonight and be together and watch the draw. Obviously, those plans have been canceled. And everything.
You're not getting on like your little like snow rider and picking up the kids in the wagon or something?
We will not be doing that today. But everybody will be watching. We'll be communicating, through either, text message or FaceTime or something like that. Our kids are excited about the draw. We think it's an open sectional with three really good teams, but yet Whiteland and East are capable, especially East being the home team. I tell people all the time that you never want to play the home team in the final game, regardless of records or stuff like that. 2 years ago we had just an outstanding team. We played Whiteland at Whiteland in the final game and quite frankly escaped with the win.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So again, yeah. So again, it's I know people talk about seeding. I know people talk about getting the best matchups at the end or as far down the tournament as you can. But one thing I've always liked about the open draw is I think it kind of just gives everybody a chance. If you can get the bye, if you can be at home in the final game. I think there are just strange things that go on in high school basketball, and that's the one thing I like about not seeding the tournament is that ability until tonight, and you see it. Everybody has kind of an equal chance.
You're hinting at things that you're going to look for tonight. Okay.
Yes.
Like you're hinting at some of those things. And that was actually the question that I was going to ask. How far do you get, Coach? Like just you personally, do you get to, you're obviously going to look at the brackets and how it shakes out with, home teams and championship games, but like, will you allow yourself to look at what the regional matchups are? Will you allow yourself to look at what the final matchup could be? Or are you just going to be like, hey, this is our first game and then this is our singular opponent and we're going to study them?
Well, we're going to definitely study the first opponent. That's definitely, sometimes the hardest game to win in a tournament might be the first one, depending on the opponent and where it's at. But I think that everybody looks down the draw. What regional draw did I get? What possible teams could end up in the semi-state? Look at the other draws from these other sectionals and see what the matchups are going to be and who you think is going to come out of that. So no, I'll be looking at definitely who our sectional draws for the regional and what that sectional looks like and start looking at teams from that. I think the one good thing, and I know a lot of teams do this, we're not the only one, but we've challenged ourselves during the regular season. We've played Pike. Right. We've played Center Grove twice. We've played Franklin Central. We've played Roncalli. We beat Jennings County. We beat Greensburg. We've gone out there and challenged ourselves during the season. So I think we'll be ready to play whoever comes along. And I think if we're fortunate enough to get through our sectional, yeah, I definitely want to know who we're going to play in the regional because I think we'll have a chance in that game too.
Yeah, and you had said it, and so I'll ask the question. We'll keep you off any 4A analysis, of course. You have bigger measures there, but you have played Jennings County, and you have played Greensburg, and you have played Roncalli. And Hank and I are trying to make sense of this 3A South in our heads. Like, you've played 3 of those opponents. Can you give the Mike Armstrong handicapping from what you've seen? You've played half the teams that could win it down there, and they're all very different, I'm sure. So, Mike, can you share some thoughts?
Sure. I think the one thing we do have to keep in mind, we beat Greensburg. Allie Powers didn't play. All right. That's when she was out with her injury, and that's it. I think, honestly, all those teams are capable. And I think it's going to, like it does most days, it's going to come down. Those teams are very even, and it's who's going to play the best. You look at it, Roncalli has Elliot Leffler. You have Molly Ernstus at Jennings County. Larison at Greensburg, and all those kids are capable of just having a big night and turning a game. All right. And, again, it's kind of, having played all of them and tried to guard them, and 1-2 out of the 3, and Ernstus got 30 and Larison got 31. And I think, Leffler had 26 against us. And so, all those kids are just really, they know how to score. One of the things we talk about with our kids is that when those kids get the ball, like they're trying to score. And that. So I think that I if you're asking me to handicap, maybe I might handicap Jennings County only because Ernstus is a senior. It's her last time to go around. It's funny we're talking about them winning the South, and because of their tournament route, they've had trouble winning sectional. So I think if Jennings was able to get out of the sectional, that they would be looking maybe at a nice tournament run.
You're the best guest of all time. That's it just like that was really good. Like Hank, like I'll let you take it, but like the players, like I'll throw Maddie Shirley in there. They didn't play Evansville.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Maddie Shirley,
he's talking about like, and that's maybe the more simplistic narrative that we need to have is like you could turn on one of these 3A South games and see somebody go for 40. In a Gilliard-like HSE performance that we saw yesterday. And there's like 5 different players that could do it. That's awesome. Coach, good luck to you. I'll let you talk to Hank here for a little bit.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, Mike, so we actually have a surprise for you. I was told to read this for you. I said, joining us is the coach who taught you everything you know. I don't know if you know who that coach is. I see you scanning around the room. He's not in the house with you as far as I know. But I actually first met you two when you were coaching together at this high school. So joined now by Josh Sable, head coach of Brownsburg.
Coach Saab.
Coach.
What's up, my man?
First of all, if you're going to have a legend on, you got to spell the guy's name right. It's like amateur. It's amateur.
Oh, my God.
I leave 2 years ago, and we can't even get a graphic for like one of the greatest coaches in the state of Indiana. My goodness gracious. Okay.
I am going to tell you guys that we are snowed in, and football doesn't start in the draws later today. And I don't know if anybody else is, but Coach Sable and I are huge fans of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And so I may have to put on an old episode today and get a curb fix before we get going tonight.
I think you have to. If you're going to be snowed in for 20, you could do a lot worse than Curb Your Enthusiasm. That is,
sure. I think that's another thing though that we haven't really talked about. There are teams that may not get to play this week.
That's true. Yeah.
And there may now some people may be looking at maybe 2 weeks before they play. We played Seymour the other night, and I was talking to Nathan from Seymour, and he said, if we get 10 or 12 inches of snow, we may not go to school all week. And so I think, some people could be looking at going into the tournament, maybe not having to play the game in almost 2 weeks if you draw it into a Friday night game.
Yeah, that's true.
Which could, I think, also be a factor.
That is a factor, yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Hey, listen, real quick Mike Armstrong story for you guys. Now, listen, I got a bunch of them, okay? And 99% of them aren't appropriate for this show, okay? But here's one of my favorite Coach Armstrong stories. So a lot of people don't know Coach Armstrong is a little bit of a renaissance man. He does it all. He coaches track. He coaches cross country. He coaches basketball, obviously, and he's also a baseball umpire. So I have a lot of friends that coach baseball at Center Grove, and he's working a game a few years ago, and he's the home plate umpire. Okay, so it's the first pitch of the game, and Coach Armstrong is working behind the plate, and Center Grove is pitching, and they throw first pitch. It's kind of on the corner a little bit. Maybe it's a strike, maybe it's a ball. So my buddy, who's the coach, says, hey, asks his catcher, hey, what was that? And the catcher looked over at my buddy and says, oh, it was on the black. That was a strike. That was a strike. He's like, okay. So Mike called a ball. So second pitch, this kid throws it right down the middle, fastball, right down the middle. Coach Armstrong takes a step back, takes his mask off, takes 3 steps. My buddy who's coaching looks at him right in his eye and says, ball 2. And to say the least, there was no problems the rest of the game. No coaches were saying anything. Coach Armstrong did a great job, and the rest is history.
I tell people all the time, Mike Armstrong, the official, would put up with Mike Armstrong, the coach, for about 30 seconds. And then he would be told to sit down and coach his team.
Every coach I talk to says Coach Armstrong on the baseball diamond does not play.
Oh my God, that's phenomenal. So Josh and Mike, for those unaware, Mike, you were an assistant coach on Josh's staff there during the state finals run. What was that, 22? Mm-hmm. how did that come to be? How did you two end up linked up together?
Well, it's
you know
funny.
what?
Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead.
Yeah. I had a great run at Perry Meridian. I hold that place in high regard, and I am very thankful for the time, the long tenure that I was able to have there. I coached a lot of great kids and a lot of worked with a lot of good people, and it's a special place. Towards the end there, I just kind of felt like we weren't as good as we used to be. I kind of felt like maybe after 34 years, they needed something different. Maybe I needed to go do something different after all that time. And so I did that. And my plan was I was going to take a year off. About 6 weeks later, I met Josh Josh came in for a youth basketball game his daughter was playing at Perry Meridian as I was finishing up my duties there. And we just kind of started talking. And he said he needed a varsity assistant. He was getting a good group. Wanted to know if I'd maybe be interested in doing something different. I told him I would come for a year. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't come back. I loved it. It was great. The team was good. I didn't have to worry about the youth team anymore. I didn't have to worry about emails and text messages. And I went in, I coached the team. The kids were great. And it was really good for me. And that kind of stuff. So I went back for a second year. And then, of course, unfortunately, Josh decided to move on. And I just kind of, honestly, I think I was just kind of, for Franklin, I was in the right place at the right time. And, something just led me there. And I think that everything that has happened has worked out for the best. I'd be interested to see what Josh would say.
Yeah, it was, I think for me, at that time, because, a lot of you guys know this, this story, but, when you can surround yourself with Hall of Famers, or you can surround yourself with amazing people. You see it in the NFL, you see it in the NBA, you see it in college football. You need to surround yourself with the absolute best, and not just from a coaching and X's and O's and in program development and everything, but just someone that has experience, taking teams to the state finals, and having someone to be like that sounding board was huge for me. And I thought it was a great fit, and we're still friends to this day, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
That was a hell of a team you guys had there at Franklin that state finals year too. My God, I think that was it was a fun group. It was a great group of kids, and to go to 2 Final Fours and a state championship. I think we won more games in that 2 or 3 year stretch than any other team in the state. So. It was a fun group, a really special group.
How much do you guys talk about your past teams while coaching your current teams? Obviously, your experiences and the decisions that you make are influenced by what's happened historically. But do you try to give your teams use tangible examples of teams in the past that you guys have had? And many of those experiences were, not many of them, but some of the big experiences that you guys had were together. So are you guys talking about your past teams and past players to your current players? Josh, why don't you start, and then Coach Armstrong, let us know where you're at on that topic.
I don't think I don't really talk a whole lot about because every year is different, your personnel is different, your scheme is different from year to year. I think one of the things that I did take, or that Coach Armstrong and I talk about a lot, especially with that Franklin team, is if you shoot the basketball and you don't turn it over, you're going to win a lot of games. So a lot of our player development, off-season, summer stuff really revolves around competitive shooting or decision making in all of our drills and all of our player development, because I kind of felt like that group really kind of set the model for how we're going to develop, every team after that. But me personally, I don't really talk about that team as much is more of just how we develop our players in our program.
Yeah, I don't really talk a lot about our teams of the past. I think as Mike Krzyzewski once said, if you talk about success in the past, it maybe allows you to accept average in the present. I think what we do sometimes, though, is I try to illustrate things. On my 2003 state finals team at Perry Meridian, we struggled in the last 2 games of the regular season. And we really didn't look like a team at that point in time that was tournament ready. And then we make a run all the way to the state finals. And, I tell people like that all the time. I know it's cliche, but just trust the process, trust practice, know what you can do, and you can get it back. If you have the good fundamental sound base, you can always get it back, even if you're struggling at certain points of the season. And I think that's when you really need to invoke those stories, is when your team's not maybe playing its best, maybe you're struggling a little bit. I think those things can kind of be uplifting. You can give them examples of people that were also maybe not playing their best, but came on at the end of the season and stuff like that.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Mike and Josh, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us.
Brian, if I could, I do want to do a little bit of a shout out if I could.
Sure.
I think my 2 grandsons are 3 and 1. Oh, I'm sorry, Beckett's 3.5. But anyway, and Cooper is going to be 2 in February. They have been coming to every game. My daughter Megan is on my staff at Franklin, and they've been to a lot of games this year. And my grandson Cooper, who's not quite 2 yet, every time somebody gets the ball, he yells, "Shoot, shoot, shoot." So we're definitely getting him on the right track. All right, and Beckett is right there every step of the way. He'd like to be on the bench if he could. And then last but not least, my daughter Molly is an assistant for Mark Hurt at Mooresville.
Okay.
And so basketball is a family event and always has been in the Armstrong household.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's awesome. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, best of luck to both of you guys. Thanks so much for taking time out of your morning to talk with us. Have fun with the draw tonight, and we'll be talking to you guys again soon.
Coach Sable, good luck, man.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks,
guys. Good luck.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Josh Sable, Mike Armstrong here with us on the score table. That was fun. I'm glad we did that.
That's a lot of wisdom. It's a lot of wins. It's a lot of big wins. And Coach Armstrong, even, and just doing the shout outs for the family, and talked about Curb Your Enthusiasm, injected some of his Larry David humor in there with the shoot it, because I know that's your favorite, Hank. Your favorite is parents that yell shoot it.
It is. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Danny and I will be back here actually in about 11 and a half hours at 10 o'clock Eastern tonight after the sectional draw, after all the football is done. Come back here to the YouTube channel, IndyStar TV Preps. We're going to be talking about the draw. Before then, I'll have instant reaction on IndyStar.com. I have wall-to-wall coverage here coming up. Stay tuned for details on that. We thank you all so much for watching. We'll talk to you again here tonight.
Shoot it.